welcome to another video. So in today's video, I've talked about this a couple of times already, but I want to keep emphasizing this. I want to keep talking about this, and the reason why is it's very important in this society right now. It's so common that we think it's normal, and that's just the concept of debt. So I'm just going to talk about the reasons why you should pay off your debt as fast as possible and practical ways that you can pay it off right now or just in general. So debt is a very, very big thing here. You know, we always talk about slavery. We talk about this and that, but debt is the modern day slavery. If you have debts, then you are pretty much a slave. And the reason why is because every single time you earn money, part of that money has to go towards your debts. So for example, if you have some credit card loans or credit card debt, whatever it may be, even if you want to go to a different country or you want to go to a different city, you'll still have debts. Like, you, in the back of your head, you'll still have to pay off something, right? There's obviously things that you have to pay off, like obviously if you have rent, you have things like that, but these are things that you can actually stop. Like, you can physically say, okay, you know what, like, I'm not going to live there anymore. Obviously, if you have a lease, there's a different story, of course, but for the most part, like, these are things that are controllable. Like, you can actually control these things. But when it comes to debt, you can't just say, oh, I'm not going to pay off my student loans, or I'm not going to pay off my credit card debt. Because if you don't, then your credit score goes down, your credit, like, the percentage goes up, right? Like, the interest goes up. So either way, and you know, you're just gonna have to pay more money. So it's just gonna accumulate eventually, right? It's just becomes this hole. So if you're in that kind of debt, it's very, very hard to escape it. And in this society, it's so normalized, you know, with mortgages, student loans, credit card debt, everything. It's so normal. And you know, in Islam, it's like interest is haram. So if you're engaging in riba, it's very, like, it's a big thing. So, and I understand, you know, sometimes you have a credit card because you're building up your credit. Sometimes you need your credit to, if you want to buy a house, or if you want to not necessarily buy a house, but if you want to rent a house, sometimes they'll check your credit score. If you want to buy a car, sometimes they'll check your credit score. Sometimes you may want to rent something, like you want to, like, for example, like, there's a time back when I was a photographer, I wanted to rent a camera, but I didn't have a credit card. I only had a debit card, so I couldn't rent the camera. So things like that. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you're gonna get paid, or sometimes you already have the money, but sometimes you just use your credit card just maybe to buy certain things. Maybe you're just accumulating your points, and then you just pay it off your credit card right away. So there's different factors, but what I'm talking about is when you're in debt to the point where you can't pay it off. So example, if you make $4,000 a month, right? But you have probably $1,000 to your disposal to use, right? But you have about $4,000 of debt, whatever it may be. That means you're 4 months away from, you're basically enslaved for 4 months, unless you make some practical changes. But yeah, so you're basically enslaved for 4 months. Think about it this way, right? You go travel, right? You decide, okay, I want to put my $1,000 into traveling, right? You decide that, but then in the back of your head, there's like always gonna be that limit of payment, whatever, $150, whatever it may be. But in the back of your head, you're like, man, I could use this $1,000 to pay off my student loan debt or pay off my credit card debt, right? There's always gonna be something that's gonna hold you back. And when I had student loans, like before I went traveling, there's a 6-month grace period, but after that, there's interest. So I made it a mission to pay off my student loans as fast as possible. And if I ever had any other types of debts, pay it off as fast as possible. Make sure there's no interest. I don't think I've ever paid interest for anything until, if you're talking about credit cards or whatever it may be. If I have anything in my credit card, I'll pay it off like right away or after a few days, like, or I'll already have the money in my disposal to pay it off. So it's like, So my every month, whenever I see my statement, it always says $0. Like, my credit card always says $0. Like, what I mean by that is, it always says $0 in terms of how much I need to pay at before that day. It always says $0. So that's the reality, right? You want to be away. You don't want to be in debt. Like it's modern day slavery. If I haven't said this enough times, then I'm gonna keep saying it. Debt, credit card debt, even business loans, whatever it may be, it's modern day slavery. And I know people say, yes, you want to accumulate debt, you want to do this with debt. But the thing about it is, we don't know how long we're going to be in this world, right? If you pass away and you have all this debt, whether it's a mortgage, whatever it may be, right? I mean, you're gonna incur this debt to your family, or maybe yourself. Like you imagine that, right? Just imagine that. It's very, very big. So what are some practical ways to pay off your debt? So I'm gonna go back to when I was in student loan debt. So what I did was, there's a couple things I did, right? First thing I did was I calculated everything, right? I told myself, okay, hey, if I pay off this amount of money every single month, how long will it take me to pay off my student loans? I think I saw it was like 5 years. And then I calculated, how can I get that to 3 years, right? And I thought I was going to pay it off in 3 years. Okay, I'll pay off 3 years. And then all of a sudden, like, I realized, oh, how can I pay this off in a few months? And that's what I did. I just calculated. So a lot of times what happens with debt, or people that are in debt, they don't look at the big picture. They kind of look at, oh, you know what, it's so far away, or, oh, you know what, I'll pay it off the minimum payments. Don't do minimum payments, right? Figure out your time frame of when you want to pay off your debts, and figure out how you can do it, how you can get there. Maybe you have to pay a certain amount of money every month. Maybe you have to save a certain amount of money, whatever it may be, right? So that's the biggest thing I did, and that actually helped me get a vision. That's basically getting a vision, getting a purpose, and that really, really helped me pay off my student loans a lot faster. Now, the second thing I did, and this is something that it wasn't really intentional, but I just got a higher paying job, right? So I was working in e-commerce. I was listing products, and then I found an opportunity. I found a job that paid a little bit. I found a job that paid a little bit more money. So what happened was I took that job, and with that job, I ended up paying off my student loans a lot faster, right? I shaved off, like, I think almost a year or something like that, just by working that new job with a higher pay, right? So that's the thing I did. Increase your income, save more money. Increase your income, save more money. It's not rocket science. The third thing I did, and this is probably the biggest thing that I think really contributed to it, was I had a burning obsession to pay it off. Like, there was nothing else in my mind when it came to, like, my finances than paying off my debt. There's a reason why they say pay off your debt first, get an emergency fund, then invest. Because when you're in debt, right, sometimes you think, oh yeah, I invest in the stock market, I invest in crypto. Okay, if I get 15%, 10%, the average, I'll get the average 7%, right, or 8%, 6%, right? But a lot of times student loan debt is, like, not student loan debt, but just debt. Like, there's some high interest rates when it comes to debt, especially credit card debt. So it can be a lot higher. It can go from like 10 to 20%. Some people have it ridiculously high. I don't know how they have it that high. I don't know if it's because their credit is just trash, but that's a big one as well. So that's what I would say. That's the next thing, burning desire. So what I would do was, anytime I came across any piece of money, I would put it into my student loans. So I told myself, okay, you know what? I made this amount of money. Or in my head, okay, you know what? I want to go buy a pizza. This is real. This is like sacrifice. What I mean, I want to go out. I want to go buy some food. You know what? No. Okay. I'm not going to buy it right now. I'm going to pay off my student loans. Then later on, when I pay off my student loans, you can eat all you want, right? Or just chill, right? And that's kind of what the mindset I had, right? Anytime I had a burning thought to buy something, I would put it straight into my student loans. Anytime I had a thought of anything, go out, this and that. Some friends would ask, hey, you want to go out? I'm like, nah, you know what? I'm chilling, this and that. And then I would low key, I'd just be putting my student loans. I'd be, okay, how much does it cost? Okay. Because I still had money in my account, just money in my account, just to kind of, like, obviously, like, pay some small little things, right? But, and obviously, like, just a little cushion. But there's always, we're natural spenders, right? So because I accumulated that habit, what happened was, it just slowly incrementally went down, right? So go like maybe 10,000, and then maybe 8,000, okay, 7,000, okay, 5,000, 4850, right? Or 2,000, 1,000, and then 900 left. Oh, perfect. And then from there all the way down to zero, So that's a big thing I did. Incremental, small, little, even if it's a couple dollars. I would sometimes even put a couple dollars into my student loans. Just a couple bucks, just a couple bucks. Whenever I came across something, a couple bucks. And what also helped me was, because I was still doing photography, I took side jobs. So I took a lot of random side jobs. I made about $500 here, $500 there, just taking some side jobs. One time I did like a shoot for someone, and that made me a certain amount of money, which was nice. And yeah, so whatever you can do, like even to this day, like I work from home, but I also work a part-time job, right? And that's not every day. It's about maybe one to 3 days a week. It's a little more like on the on-call side, but it's still, it's not really like generates me like income or whatever. It's like nothing crazy. It's like only a couple $100, but it gives me that space to kind of do something different, and just interacting with other people as well. So, but that's besides the point. That's not the point here. The point here is, when it comes to your debt, is maybe find a side job that you can do. Maybe find like a little thing that you can, whatever. Find a skill. If you have some sort of skill, you have some sort of value, you can start maybe consulting, right? Find other ways you can make income if you need to pay off your debts. So that's a big one. And yeah, I think that's really it, man. Like, honestly, even if I have like some credit card stuff I need to pay off, I'll pay it off right away, or I'll position myself to the point where like I know that I'm gonna pay it off. Like it's gonna be easy to pay off, right? Like that's the mindset I always have. Like I always avoid it, and if I ever come across it, maybe I'm just buying groceries, and maybe I'm paying off right away, because maybe for points, maybe just for credit score, whatever, maybe nothing crazy. Yeah, so that's kind of my strategy. Everyone's has a different strategy, but the biggest thing is just have a burning desire to pay it off. Like I remember one of my classmates, when it came to school, he was like, and this is what I think what triggered me. He was like, oh man, I'm probably gonna do the minimum. I think I asked him like, hey, what's your plan to pay off your student loans? He's like, oh, I don't really have any sort of specific plan. Just minimum payments, just probably gonna pay off in like 10, 15 years. In my head, I was like, 10 to 15 years, that's a long time. And I was like, and I told myself in my head, there's no way I'm gonna take 10, 15 years to pay off the student loans, because the interest accumulates. I won't be free. So living debt-free, you have a lot of luxury. And also another thing too is, just because you're debt-free doesn't mean that you won't come across difficulties. Things happen, which is why I would always recommend have an emergency fund. Save about 5 to 20k. Like that's my recommendation. Like always have at least a cushion of 5 to 20k, $5,000 to $20,000, wherever you're from. And this is, I would say 6 to 12 months like of your monthly expenses. Everyone has a different country, so you may have lower expenses, some people have higher expenses, but for the most part, I would say have that cushion there. That way you can avoid like unexpected debt, because that's the last thing you want. Like you only have like a couple $100 in your bank account, and then you come across something that hits you, or your car, or something emergency happens. So that's a big thing. Anyways, I'm rambling, so I'm going to hop off this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, I guess I'll talk to you guys next video. Don't forget to stay authentic. Peace.